Want to get started, Elisa?
Sure.
I'm drinking and you're not. You're starting.
Listen, if I didn't have at least 3 hours of work ahead of me, I would totally be drinking as well, and children and all the rest.
Yes,
but,
I know.
But I'm glad we're on. I'm glad I could take a little bit of a break after 5 o'clock. And, I think we've had some really interesting guests on so far. Lots of fun commentary. And I always somehow try and like go back to some serious place with some of these interviews, and you always bring the levity, which is very much appreciated. But why don't we let Mandee introduce herself, and let's talk a little.
Great idea.
Let's talk a little bit about her background so that the audience can get to know her, and then we can start hitting her with some questions.
So before we do that, Mandee, I'm going to do a cheers to you since Elisa doesn't have a glass. So you're going to drink with me first. Cheers. Pleasure meeting you finally.
Likewise.
And take a sip before you start. Who's Mandee?
How much of it am I going to need? Like, I don't even know right now. All right, so to start, a little bit of background on me. I am currently working at Group 337, and for those of you who don't know about Group 337, we're essentially the company that runs the inside, which is a company that runs all the awesome shows and podcasts such as Security IQ and all of the others. And I don't know, I'm so pumped to be on it. Like, I do the editing and the social media and whatnot, and I don't know, I can't be more grateful because I've met so many great people such as you two through it too. So like, that's essentially what I got going on right now. Other than that, been in marketing and security for the past 4 years or so I'm still pretty new, pretty fresh, but I also kind of have a good understanding of change that's kind of needed. But you two have hit on that quite a bit too in your past couple of conversations, and I like
say it. We're your favorite video cast that you work. Just say it. It's okay. They know.
You're definitely I'm not even gonna lie. I really do. I look forward to editing your videos. Like, I really do.
So is it the stupid shit we say, or is it actually interesting? No, I'm just kidding.
Actually interesting. It's like a good combo of both. Like,
sorry, Elisa.
You two crack me up. No lie. Like, it's really enjoyable, and it's just, I don't know. I just feel so lucky because I think just right now with everything that's going on, to have this job, like, COVID-19 came around in March. I had a position as a business development and marketing kind of manager in a previous company. And I lost my job because, as you can imagine, like, there's a bunch of stuff that's just been derailed because of this pandemic. Like, when the business I was at was solely around like travel and resorts and stuff like that. So when business development wasn't happening, half of your job isn't happening. Like, it's kind of like, it's pretty easy to be on the chopping block, so to speak. So, and I got lucky that Lee came out and he's like, "Hey, you want to do some work for me?" And then, like, here we are now. Like, I'm like, absolutely, I want to do some work for you. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I have my first question for you then.
Right.
So many moons ago, I had run a group out of New York City for one of the associations, and it was centered around young professionals in the industry. So you mentioned you've been doing this for about 4 years. And when I had sort of launched that group back then, probably was only a couple years into the industry, probably around the same, maybe like 3 or 4 years. And as a young professional or new professional to this industry, there's a lot of things that I found really challenging. But I also just loved the industry. It was almost like a pleasant surprise to to find something that I just felt so passionately about, and almost fell into. Like, I never had plans to get into this industry. In fact, I was more on the banking and finance side. And I always thought like, oh, I'll do this for a little bit and then I'll go back to banking and finance. But I loved it so much, I stayed, and I went back and got, you know, another degree in the industry. And it's definitely been a challenge, to say the least, particularly being a woman in the industry. But there's a lot of ups and downs. So what do you think young professionals or new professionals deal with now? I mean, now I'm in the industry probably around a decade-ish.
I think you're over a decade.
I'm over a decade. Thanks a
Over a
lot,
decade.
man. Thanks a lot.
Come on. I've been here longer than you, okay? And I'm a lot older than you people, so, you know, I can say that. I'm teasing.
No, but seriously, as like a newer professional, what are your thoughts so far?
So, no, that's a good question. My thoughts so far are kind of just, I think our greatest challenges at the moment is trying to get companies to want to progress.
Okay.
You know, I was talking to a coworker of mine a couple days ago. We were talking about, like, you know, what are some of the fears in the industry? And I think, you know, the industry, and it's such a human thing too. Like, we're to be scared of change, you know, like, you don't know what the certain outcomes are going to be of certain things. You know, you don't know, for instance, how mobile access control would work or something like that, you know? So I think a lot of the industry is kind of just stagnant because of that fear, you know, and they're just, it's the unknown, you know, it's the fear of the unknown. We don't know, like, we've never worked with that kind of technology before, even though it could really, all the data that those systems can harness and, you know, can really help improve our systems and our operations. It's just that fear. So I think that the thing that we're up against is just fear, you know, and there's an older generation here which naturally, you know, they're used to one way, and I totally get it. Like, once you're used to something, it's hard to change, right? So, but they're just so used to a certain way of doing things that change is just very scary.
Well, let me ask this then, because you see you know, obviously you talk about the fear, but you also see, you know, you're talking about an older generation, which is a mindset that's going to be very difficult to change. But there's a positive side to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
What's making you stay?
It's the technology. And I think, and I can't say like everyone in the older generation, because, like, you know,
there's a bunch who are,
right. People that are very progressive, that are, you know, in that fall under that category, I guess. So not all.
We won't ask you to name names. That's okay.
Yeah.
Although we would like to, but we don't name names. Just saying. Right.
I can't give you that dirt just yet. We'll see.
Later.
What's keeping me in though is just like the challenge, but also just the technology. And I guess, like, it's between the 4 years I have gone out of the industry briefly. And while I appreciated the industries that I was in while I was out of the security industry, it's just coming back to this. It feels like home, and it feels like something that just makes sense, because, like, it's just technology. I don't know, or it's always changing versus other things in other industries. It's just kind of like, this is how we're doing things, you know, this is what it is. We use this, that, and this and that, versus, like, security, it's just, there's new technology, there's new players that are always coming in.
You know what I find really interesting, and I keep saying this to people in all industries. So on the manufacturing side, on the, I don't even know what else, even some of the integrators that you work with, a lot of us have been working remotely for a long time, right?
Well, you guys have. I haven't.
You haven't, because you're really you were on the end user side, the A&E community.
Right. So, I was more in the office at that point.
Yeah. But from the manufacturing standpoint, particularly in technology, so many of us were already living like this. And when you talk about the technology and you look at how operations has changed for all industries overnight, and there's so many memes out there talking about, what drove change in your organization? Well, it was COVID-19, but it's the truth. So you're talking about an older generation that was a little bit resistant to change. I don't necessarily know that it's an age thing. I do think that you find it more in older generations that are not as used to or familiar with some of the technologies, but it really is a human thing. We are, and this is, pure science. It's not, you can look this up. We are predisposed or wired to resist change, right? Because back when we were running through the woods looking for food, we had to stay with what was familiar. Well, but it's the truth. You had to stay with what's familiar. In fact, even you can see this in children. It's sort of pre-wired for children to only like the same food over and over and over, because they, in some primordial, space in our brain, that's what's kept us alive. You go with what's familiar, and to try something new, it almost goes against the grain for us. And then you take somebody who is really, I don't want to say resistant, but is so used to doing things for so long. It becomes even more and more challenging as you go. So when you look at something like what we're dealing with right now and how it has turned every industry upside down and on top of its head, on one hand, you could say, oh, this is so terrible. But on the other hand, you could say, this is so exciting. Because there are so many companies now that are up and coming because they can provide these out-of-the-box solutions. They've been waiting for this opportunity to say, here, we have some answers for you. And now you're starting to find people who don't have another choice. They have to think out of the box.
Yes.
So it's really exciting.
It is. I really do think that we're going to see some positive change. Like, I mean, this whole thing is horrible and it sucks, but I think that if anything good is going to come of it, it's just change, and it's going to be positive change. I really
Agreed.
And it's interesting that, Elisa, you said that, since I resigned at the middle of the pandemic, if you think about it, and I'm still amazed I did that. But that being said, I always make a statement, and I'm going to get your feedback on that. And I said that's to a lot of people. I'm not comfortable being comfortable at any place for a reason. What do you think of that? What do you think?
Are you asking me or Mandee?
Both of you. I'm going to put that both of you. I'm not comfortable being too comfortable at any role, any position, or any place. That's, I always say that to myself all the time. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
You want me to go first? Or?
Go for it, Elisa. No, go for it. Then Mandee goes right in.
I have my 2 cents. Go ahead.
All right. So there's a book by a woman named Pema Chodron. I want to say she's a Buddhist. I could be wrong. Anyway, I used to have all of her books like a million years ago. Anyway, one of her books is entitled, I think it was Comfortable with Uncertainty. And without going through the Cliff Notes version, it really is exactly that. Like, things are going to change no matter what. And you can either embrace the change and sort of roll with the punches and stuff like that, and do it from a place of peace and acceptance. Because, there's obviously, you want to do whatever you can to sort of guide things, make them better, whatever, but you're never going to be able, the amount of stuff you actually have control over is, you know what I mean? On one hand, but then if you look at it from the other perspective, you actually have control over it all, because it really depends on how you react to all of these, we'll call them conflicts or contrast, right? So, and I
challenges.
Lots of challenges. So you can either resist it and create a lot more angst and strife for yourself, or you can, what's that old, now I'm getting super philosophical. I'm like,
embrace change.
You're embracing it, but you're also, what's that old saying, like water, like you kind of find a way around it and you adapt, right? And so that's sort of comfortable with the uncertainty component. If you don't get comfortable with the uncomfortability of change, then you're missing the boat. And if you are stagnant for that long, I couldn't think of anything more horrifying than that, than just being in this. And there are some people, and I'm not saying it's wrong, there are some people who like that constant, and they don't want the change, and they're more comfortable and they thrive in that environment. I'm just not one of them. I definitely need to shake things up a bit, and see it throughout my entire life. But yeah, it's I agree with you. I tend to agree with you, but you also have to handle it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mandee, since you're the young professional, what do you think? Is that something you would adhere to? I'm not gonna use quotes.
Absolutely.
You are young.
Young professional. No, absolutely. Like, it's just, I don't want to come off as a job hopper. Like, I'm definitely staying with Group 337 as long as I can. Lee, you're fantastic. You're going to hear this eventually.
He's going to kill me. He's going to kill us.
Yeah. But like, I might be seen as a job hopper just because, like, I can't sit still. I'm with both of you on that. Like, I can't be comfortable, especially if you don't see any room for growth where you are. You could stay, I started out in the industry as a marketing intern and eventually went into coordinator. But from there, it didn't look like at that company that there was going to be a whole lot of growth, at least in marketing. Everywhere else, fantastic. It's great. But it just didn't look like that was moving. And I'm like, all right, I could stay here and be comfortable and make what I'm making and be happy. And, I love everyone that's here. But I think, if I'm going to grow as a professional, it's time to be a little scared, be a little nervous, and to push on forward to the next thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you.
Very well said. So then what, do you have any regrets doing what you're doing?
Zero. No, I don't have any. I don't think, I try to not live with regrets. There are certain things that I wish I had done differently.
Such as? I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Oh man. I think just,
Have a sip.
Like, I'm going to have a couple more. Yeah.
So, like I would say, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Oh, what's the Demi the bottle? Sorry, but not sorry.
I feel like I just wish I would have left the previous company a little differently, or maybe had given a little more of my 2 cents on what before I had to leave. This is a little different situation in that I had to leave because of financial issues, COVID. But I really wish that I had actually given my 2 cents there. That's something a little different. Kind of wish I had put a little more effort into being like, hey, I think this could have been done differently. But I mean, it kind of worked out though. So I'm here now and working with Lee, and and it's great. And that's another thing. Like, I think that's another thing in our industry too, to like kind of not to go off on a tangent, but
no.
I think that's another thing, is that there's too many people that are kind of like, oh, sorry. I'm going to have to edit that out. Sorry, that's my dog. I guess.
Animals at home, by the way. I have one animal with 2 kids and an adult. So.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we were talking about your pup.
And
I have 2 kids or 3 kids? 2 kids.
Yeah,
2 kids and 2 animals.
Animals count.
Well, you forgot the Irish boy.
That's fun. That was the joke.
Cool. Yeah.
It was a joke, but you miscounted. You didn't count him. That's not right.
I have a cat I have 2 cats and a dog, and it's just like a mini petting zoo here. Like, what was I saying? Oh, so I was saying that, like, I think that is just to kind of go back off to that point. It's going to be hard. It's hard to challenge people like that, but I think that we need to, I think that's something that I want to improve upon in myself after like just some self-reflection, and be like, hey, like, you need to start challenging people instead of
that's a hard thing to do. I mean,
it is,
given the fact that I know I had challenges because I was, and you probably did, Elisa, too, up against our counterparts, in an industry that's very male dominated back in the day. And that's always been fun, battling the battle of the wits when they always thought, oh, you're the young little girl, you don't know what you're talking about. So let me correct you. I've gotten that.
Well, all right. So, this is a really good question. A nice segue. And I'll put this on both of you. So if I had one thing to tell like my younger self back then, it would be more along the lines of, there's a meme floating around. I'm sure you've seen it. You know, anytime I thought I was being rejected from something good, it was only because I was being redirected to something better. I know it's like super, I'm so philosophical tonight.
You're better than I.
But it sounds so corny, but I'm telling you, if I look back at every single point in my life, no matter what it was, business, personal, whatever, it's the truth. Like I've always, whatever it was I thought I was losing or walking away from or whatever, it was always, the next thing was always that much better. Like I always found really great opportunities, you know, even after I felt like maybe a little defeated, it was always better. There's not one time where I was like, oh yeah, like that's too bad. Like, you know, that's the one I missed. It was never, it's across the board. So if there was one thing I could go back and tell my younger self, it would be that, like, don't worry about it. It's all going to be good. So
yeah.
Or disagree, man?
I agree, but Mandee, you go first. I'll let you go first.
Oh, no, I agree too. I just, because that's honestly the sum of my year. Like that's the summary of my year so far. Like it's just like I said, you know, I lost my job back in May, but here I am now. You know, I had no idea what was coming next. I'm like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And then, you know, we uprooted ourselves from Orlando and now we're in Cocoa because it just made more sense. Because shout out to my boy, he works at SpaceX. So it's just,
wow,
that's awesome,
cool.
Right? I'm so proud of him.
So awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Bragging rights there.
Yeah. Oh
absolutely.
Yeah, bragging rights.
I know. I feel like a mom. I'm just like, I'm so proud of him. But like, I'll never miss a launch either because I swear, like, we're 2 seconds from like the actual company, and it's just like you hear the rumbling. I'm like, oh god, is there a launch today? Like the other day, I was just like, I hear this. And I'm like,
that's amazing.
What the hell is that? Like, and I'm like, oh my god, that's right. There's a launch. You know, you just run outside. Like it's pretty cool. But like beyond that, like going back to what I was saying, like I had no idea. Like I really had no idea what was next. And it was funny, like back in November of last year, I saw that Lee had started Group 337. I was just like, oh my god, please, like hit me up, please. I know I'm at this job right now, but like I would work for you in a heartbeat. Like it would be,
no, Lee is a great guy. Yes.
Yeah, like I just, you know, having worked with him previously, he's just great, you know?
Yeah.
So like, he's just very open-minded and just very like, you know what, you go with what you feel is right. And that's the kind of boss that I really appreciate. So, but like, again, back to what I was saying. So many segues. I'm really bad at that.
That's okay. You're the same way.
I just, you know, you will, like Elisa was saying, you will land into something better. And I really do feel that I'm in a better place right now. I'm loving what I'm doing right now. Always also wanted to be remote too and have that ability. You know, also like kind of what we were saying, like the workforce is changing. I've been thinking this, maybe it's the millennial mindset, but I've just been thinking this. I'm like, why can't we work from anywhere? Like, does it matter? So like, I really am hoping that this is kind of the start of that. Cause I think that, you know, when and how, I guess it, you know, it does matter to a certain degree, you know, when and how work gets done. But I think as long as the work gets done by the time it needs to get done, I think that's the most important part. You know, I think that's just my opinion. Like, and it's good work. You know, you can tell that the person put effort into that work. You know, I think we just kind of need to have that more of that flexibility and to be with our families a little more and to be able to maybe kind of experience things a little more, be able to travel when we want to. that might be the millennial mindset in me, but I think that it's
No, I think that's the mindset that everyone is changing to right now. I mean, because again, it's sort of forced, and to bring it back around, there's a lot of people out there. I'm living with one of them that prior to this, it was, oh, I could never work from home. I could never do that. I don't have the what do you call it, the discipline for that, and I have to go into the office, and I need that camaraderie, and I need I need my files, and I need this and that. Well, let me tell you, this guy is never going back to the office. He got forced into this, and at first he was so anxious around, how am I going to get anything done? And it really did push him into a better place. And now he's like, this is the best thing. I get so much more done. I'm so much more efficient. I have a better quality of life. Why would I ever want to go back to the office? So, again, to bring it back around, there's so many people being shoved into a better direction for that quality of life, to enjoy their work more, to balance overall, right? Because even if you don't have children, you have a life, right? Most people do have a life. They have other interests. So if you don't have to sit on a train or in a car commuting 2 to 4 hours a day, think about all the other things that you could do, and how much more productive you are because you're well rested and because you had that downtime to sort of refresh. So I think productivity is just going to skyrocket. I don't know how we're going to measure that. I'm sure somebody will figure out a way, but you're going to start to see productivity skyrocket, the quality of life for so many people skyrocket. And I do think that right now we're sort of in this turmoil still, where there's so many people who are resistant, that are so holding on, and they're going through that struggle. But the ones that actually make it out on the other side, I think we're all going to be better for it. I really do. I hate to sound Pollyanna, but it's just how I feel.
Oh, I agree completely.
You hear me say this all the time. Things happen for a reason, right?
Agreed.
You heard me say that thing. And what happens? Things happen for a reason.
Exactly.
And I don't know how many times, countless times, and Elisa can probably account for that, how many countless times stuff just happens and everything just aligns. It's like the stars are speaking, or something's happening and everything just aligns properly. And I really do believe that fate has a very interesting way of telling you it's going to be okay as long as you can adapt.
That's a good.
I mean, look, not to be philosophical, we're here for a reason, right? Adaptability is another. You adapted very quickly. Elisa's adapting. You're Irish boy.
Am I really? I don't know. Am I really adapting? I'm like crawling on the ceiling right now with the amount of crap I have going on, but that's a different story.
I need to get her out for a girls' night, and she's telling me no. So I need to get her out just so I can get her to be sane.
Oh man. Please. Just come kidnap me in the middle of the night.
You know I would, right? Just so you know.
Leave a note.
Brian,
I know you would. That's why I'm saying it.
Just saying. I'm gonna call him Irish boy. Irish cream will kill me. From now on, I'm so calling him Irish cream. I'm sorry, Elisa. You can tell him that.
It's totally okay. He'll be okay with that.
You film an episode while you're on the road. That would be interesting.
Oh, we should do that. You know what? If I could make it to the golf outing, we totally would have done an episode from the golf outing.
Yes. Oh my God.
Are you doing this?
Yeah.
So Janet, you know Janet Fenner?
Yes.
She is having the Mission 500 golf outing. Are you signing up, my dear? I already signed up.
Ooh.
Miss Elisa.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, my co-host there.
I don't know if I can. It's going to be a challenge.
For a good cause.
You know, I want to. I really, really want to.
Where is this out of?
I think it's out in Marlboro, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Mandee, come up. Make a trip.
I want to. Trust me.
And by the way, I just noticed your shirt says SpaceX. Okay, now it's like brag fest. She's allowed to brag about her.
A little bit. I've been kind of like, yeah.
I would be bragging if I were you. That's awesome.
Prize.
Post it up so we can actually put in a security IQ. And basically, this is my boy.
Yeah, this is my boy. This is hardly about me. It's also about like SpaceX and then like us getting Elon on the show.
There you go.
Oh,
That would be
would
cool.
that actually happen?
Oh my God, that'd be nuts.
So
Could
you
you
know what?
imagine
should
that?
get your boy on and then have him show it to Elon and say, "We need you on the show. Can you do it for
Yeah.
us here?"
We need to hear about
Elisa?
SpaceX security. Let's talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, who's working there? There's someone I know that actually work at Tesla right now, but not at SpaceX.
Tesla?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah. So I gotta track him down then and ask him, how is Elon? Is he a site? No, I'm not gonna say the word.
I think he's kind of. I'm not sure. He's met him once or twice, and he seemed like a really cool guy. Like kind of oddly down to earth. I don't know.
Oddly.
Yeah, like it's just kind of like, how are you down to earth? He's. I mean, obviously he's.
No
odd.
pun intended, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Oddly, I mean, like I just like. I would have to refrain from asking him like how he does pronounce his son's name, but
I still am trying to figure that one out.
I'm just like, I'm gonna call him Max.
Oh my God.
So speaking of this, and Elisa has seen a meme that I sent. If you were to professionally make it and people started calling you names, would you have a resting bitch face? And do you think that's appropriate?
Yeah.
My God. Sorry, I just had to ask that question because I've been curious. With all the women that's made it out there professionally.
Yeah, that's all the
right.
Yeah, you have all the rights. I mean, come on. You
Elisa, I'm sorry.
So no. This is good because here's why. I definitely come off differently to different people. Sometimes people say I have resting bitch face. Some people think I'm like a space cadet. Some people are like, oh, she's totally got it together. I have no fucking clue. You know, which one of them are right?
Don't edit that out, please.
No, I don't really. It's
let me
your show.
So let me just put it this way. I know that sometimes I have trouble getting things across to people.
No, you don't. You're better at it than I am.
There's some
a lot better.
listen,
Trust me.
I'll say this. I do my best to like say what I mean and mean what I say. And like sometimes when I say what I mean, people are just like, well, what the fuck is she talking about? You know what I mean? And so sometimes I try and figure out like, well, how can I say this better? Or how can I like distort my face to get the point across? And then it comes off as like resting bitch face. So like, like if I were having a board of directors meeting and I was talking to them like this, they'd be like, who the hell is this chick? So I have to like, you know, put it on and be professional and rah, rah, rah. And then
I don't think I've ever seen that side of you.
No.
I have to see that.
it's definitely with different groups of people, with colleagues, with, you know, people on my team, customers, you know, it's just, I don't know. I feel like freaking Sybil, you know, with multiple personalities. Sometimes I'm like, Jesus, can't I just be myself?
You kind of balance, because I have a tendency of messing with people. I like messing with people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's entertaining to mess with people.
Yeah.
I think you've seen me mess with people, Lisa.
Oh, I've seen it. I find it entertaining to watch her mess with people. So
don't ask. The look on your face is like, really?
I feel like I have like the opposite problem where I just will get so into work when people walk by me when I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was in the office setting, they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And they're like, "You just look so anxious. You just look so distraught." So I have like resting distraught face. I don't even know if what's that a thing? I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I don't know what your deal is. I'm like, I'm just trying to figure things out. So maybe it's our thinking face.
It probably. Well, look,
I'm gonna go with that, Mandee. I think you're right. I'm just gonna stick with that one. It's my thinking face.
We're thinking. We're determined on something to figure out whatever it is that's going on in our minds.
And maybe this is why it gives the wrong connotation about the security world. We are so sticklers, I think. Was that the word they use for like?
We're deep thinkers. Thinkers.
That's why I like to mess with people, because it's just like, well, let me see if I can poke this person and make them bite.
That's exactly it. No, but I think that's so importantly. The two of you, I believe, we're talking about this with Bob.
Hey, Elisa, you're gone. What happened to you?
I know. I'm here.
the two of you were talking about this with Dr. Robert Zuber.
You have to be so technical with him, by the way.
I was at UN. No, he's fantastic. I every episode he's been on, I'm just like, this is gonna be good. Like,
he's a lot of fun. And there's stuff that we didn't record that, oh man.
We did. Oh my God, I wish we did.
Dang. I'm not surprised. Dang, where was I even going with this? Like, I haven't even had like
well, take a big chug out of it then.
You'll remember if you keep drinking.
Yeah, keep drinking. That's okay. Keep drinking and then you'll remember.
Alcohol actually
out of you. You did drink.
You're not wrong though. Okay, so I remember where I was on that thought. No, like the security industry, you two were talking about how it's such a serious thing. You know, of course, our well-being and everything, and keeping everyone safe, and keeping track of visitors and everything.
Am I getting a bitch face on yet? I can't do it. I'm sorry. Keep going. Sorry, Mandee.
That, you know, we need to take a step back. We need, you know, it's okay to laugh. You know, that's something about the industry. You know, I think that it's actually changing in that sense. You know, that I've seen certain advertising by, you know, major companies that seem a bit more relaxed, you know, kind of have that mentality while also balancing the, like, yeah, we need to keep people safe, but also like, yeah, we're cool.
You know what? You're making me think of something that I've had to deal with for a long time. Companies get a certain reputation around being, you know, having resting bitch face as a company, or being quote unquote arrogant, right?
That's gonna be the new phrase for us.
I've definitely come across customers that are like, oh, you know, this company was known for being very arrogant. And I don't necessarily think that it was always warranted. Sometimes, yes, but a lot of times, not really. I always felt that it was more of like a cultural thing. But to your point, there are also companies that have a different reputation from the standpoint of it's a great place to work, it's a light environment, you know, really great team environment, so everyone wants to help and work together. And that almost counterbalances some of that negative effect.
Yeah.
So I think you're onto something with, you have to bring that levity. Otherwise you get known as the resting bitch face company. It's true.
You know, this is going to be the new logo of a company, the resting bitch face company. Don't be like them. Don't be the Karens.
Don't be the Karens.
Don't be the Karens. I'm sorry, did I say that? No offense to all the Karens I know.
Don't be the Karens or the Kens of society, people.
There you go. But that actually is a good, interesting question for you, though. Since you're more, and you're like a young professional coming in, still brand new in the security industry, what do you observe that kind of brings this messaging about that kind of should have a mindset change in terms of how companies should be targeting their clients and audience?
I would say, I think the appearance of so many young startups and like that kind of Silicon Valley mindset.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's that culture, and the fact that a lot of companies know that that's the kind of place that people want to work. They now want to, I guess, kind of tailor their messaging a little differently to kind of portray themselves as that kind of company. Like, we're fun, we're lighthearted, we're just like Silicon Valley. We'll show you 1 second. Just give us a second. Just let us throw out an advertisement. We're good. You know, like, I think like, let's show you how fun we are. I think that's like kind of, I feel like that could be part of it, but I also feel like, that's tough. I kind of, and
because I feel like you really can't fake the culture of a company.
No.
It always comes out, and it's similar to like somebody's personality. If they're just a shitty person, you're going to see it eventually.
Well, your spidey senses kick right in. You know that.
Totally. And
Spidey senses kick right in.
And it's the same thing with companies. Like, you know, you can work for a company and think, oh, this is one way. And then when you dig in, you start to uncover all the goods, the real stuff, right?
Skeletons in the closet.
And you can't hide from that culture. You know, there in every organization, there are some, you know, winners, you know, some
Winners
special
in people or winners in a company?
Purely fun.
Right. But the overall culture, the overall vibe and feeling of the company, and it's a hard thing to change, but it's also a hard thing to find. It's like a company who really does truly, you know, care about their people, care about the product, and actually live their messaging. So, you know, there's a lot of companies out there that are very similar. And when you dig down deep into each of those companies, the underlying, I don't want to say culture, but the messaging is very reflective. So I'll give you an example. There's a lot of integrators out there that are chasing the same products and they're going after the same bids and projects and this and that. What does it ultimately come down to at the end of the day? Price. Like everyone needs to compete on price because, you know, the low bid wins and yada, yada, yada. That really, you start to see that cookie cutter feel across the board. And then you have, and I'm not naming any names, then you'll see another type of integrator who really cares about the value that they're bringing. They don't take that value added reseller title lightly. They actually want to deliver, and they bring you leads. They get you into new opportunities. They actually, you know, do the proper installation. They will send their entire team for certification, not just one guy or two guys and call it a day and then let their certifications lapse. No, they stay on top of their education and they really produce a quality product, but they are never the cheapest integrator. And that is the culture. And if that's, you know, so you start to see, you can spot it and you can, you know, use those as benchmarks, but ultimately it's the culture and it's the, you know, say what you mean and mean what you say kind of thing. And, you know, I feel like you can see it in so many, whether it's integration, manufacturing, A&E firms, same thing. You know, there's plenty of A&Es that provide those.
Let's not go there.
but provide those cookie cutter templates. Yeah. And I won't name any names. I'm sure Min knows what I'm thinking. They will spec the same product over and over, no matter what the job is, same product.
Yeah, we're not going to name the names. I know exactly what you're taking it.
I love to hear them, but yeah, don't.
But you know what I'm saying.
If I have to give a name, you're giving a name, just so you know.
Right. I'm gonna zip it then. But
I'm teasing. Well, look, the statement "you get what you pay for" always stands here, regardless of what it is. If good services, you get what you pay for, right?
Right, and I'm also thinking Elisa, what you had me thinking too is I think there's also more eyes on companies now.
Sure.
Because would you maybe agree that social media has kind of, you know, like LinkedIn and stuff like that has kind of, you know, and Glassdoor, you know.
I'm going to trim this light off.
Oh, Glassdoor. Oh, yes.
Right? I have kind of
totally agree.
Yeah, but see, Glassdoor I feel a little iffy about because I've seen some people who are vindictive going on.
Oh, we got disco men going on right now.
If I do it, it'll be vindictive. I'm not vindictive. See, my philosophy is I don't get even. No, actually, no, I'm not vindictive. I just get even, but in a nice way. You figure that one out.
There is no nice way with men. It does not exist.
No, I do it in a nice way. What are you talking about, Lisa? I just tail, you know, I can hide the horns. It's hanging off the halo, you know, but, you know, my tail is flickering. It'll hide. I try hiding the tail once in a while. But I see anyway.
But again, on the flip side, it's an opportunity for the companies, no matter what end of the spectrum you're on in the industry, to really shine and to set yourself apart. And exactly. It's not easy to do. It definitely takes a lot of work to set yourself apart, but you know, that's
also culture.
It's called
Once you establish that culture, it's ingrained. It's hard to go back in some ways.
It is. I think it's easier to fall off that standard than it is to build it back up and build up your reputation. Not impossible. No, you're right. Yeah. but it's definitely easier to go down than it is to go up.
So I had a leadership coach, Jeff Snyder. I don't know if I introduced you guys. He's a really great guy. And he actually said it's called the basement. To get up to that peak at the top is so hard, but to fall down in the basement is so easy.
So true.
He calls it the basement, which I believe is so true. Like you have so many good qualities, so many assets that's there. But when you fall and you get to that basement, to get out is impossible once you reach that point. So for companies out there, integrators, if you're listening to this, get your shit up, okay? Just saying.
Yeah.
We want to see you up there, not in the basement.
Yeah. That's the thing too. It's like other companies love to see other companies being down because they.
You know what? For me, if I was to go out eventually soon, as a company, I want a fair competitive market also. I want to be seen as a unicorn, being on top, being way ahead. But I think at the end of the day, right, if you're just constantly at that stagnant level and never moving, it's going to be boring.
Right.
So to have that competition come in to force you to move and think more, I think is important and critical. You're going to have, what's the word they use? Not best friends, like frenemies.
Frenemies.
We're like frenemies at that point. It's like we'll be friends, but we'll be enemies at the same time because it's a friendly competition that has to go on. And I don't know if you guys think so, but in my mind, to see that kind of helps you think ahead. Like, how do you plan for your future? How do you move forward?
So, and I agree with you. I also see it more as, I'm very much an advocate for collaboration, even if it's amongst competition. I think there's plenty of business to go around. And I've never once felt like, had that sort of like black mentality where like, oh, if I don't win this job, that's it. And no, like the right jobs come to the right people. And if you do your job properly, it's just going to evolve, right? Your business, everything, your territory, whatever it is. So, and if you partner with the right individuals. So, as an RSM, if you are finding the right channel partners from the manufacturing side, if you're finding the right channel partners, the people who are actually going to bat for you, not just, whether it's an MR firm or distribution, not just the people who are saying, oh yeah, I can sell this. It's one of the tools in the toolbox. That's not a partner. It's somebody who's going to knock down doors for you and bring you in, and you're going to do the same for them. That true partnership, even amongst competitors, it's very valuable. So when you talk about frenemies, I've seen two competing products work together, talk together for a specific project, and it works. There's plenty to go around.
Exactly.
So, I think especially out of this craziness that we're living in, you're going to start to see a lot more collaboration.
We should do that. We should get two competing people on this conversation, Security IQ, and get them to talk.
Security IQ does the shootout? Oh, that'd be so
what do you think?
Really
That would be so awesome. What do you think?
That would be awesome. And I also think that translates really well to just individuals too. Like
Exactly. Well, that's the whole point in this. I think it's the people. It really is the people and how they work together. I won't name the industry, but I've seen a few individuals in a locking industry work together, and he had said to me many times, he's not, as long as you get the job, we're going to get business one way or another. So and it's such incestual, it really is an incestual community. I hate to say the security world is very incestual. People jump from place to place to place. And you don't want to burn bridges. You really don't. And this is the same for I think in any community, the A&E world, the commercial real estate side, any business, OT side, everything is all incestual. Everybody jumps from one company to another, and it's like, oh, you're back here again. Oh, I didn't know that. I guess we'll come back. So what's next?
Well, I know we only have a couple minutes left, but Mandee, I think we both feel, I don't want to speak for Min, but I will. I think we both feel that you have a very, very bright future ahead. Just full of talent, and I think you'll be able to sort of name the company you want after all this.
Thank you.
I there might even be a couple of opportunities
Who knows?
down the road that we want to present you with. Hopefully, once we make it out on the other side of this year.
I think it's a good year. I'm gonna say this. As much as people say it's a pandemic, it's shit going on, I still think 2020 will be a good year.
Priming for growth. That's it.
Exactly it.
Priming for growth.
I like
That's how we
that.
see it, right?
Yep.
So Mandee, thank you.
I'm very excited you came on. I hope we have you back again.
Yes, one of these days. I would love to.
And maybe we can get your boy to be on with SpaceX.
Oh,
That's a great idea.
all of your burning questions that you want to ask him.
We're turning bright red and saying, Mandee, I hate you for putting on this show.
Oh, wait, just take a sip and just enjoy the ride.
Totally cool. But thank you for coming on, Mandee. This was fun. How you doing? Anytime.
So
And be kind to us in the editing process,
I
please.
certainly will. I will. Well, we can discuss editing, later. But
Okay. For now, we can always bring it up another episode, and we'll be like, "Remember, Mandee said this."
You know what? I think we're just gonna plug your name into every episode moving forward. Hey, Mandee, take this piece out. Blah blah blah.
do it. I'll listen. You know, I listen to all. So
Done.
We're teasing. All good fun. Thank you so much, Mandee.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.